Welcome back to The Wave by Super Mechanics with myself, Pat, and Dave from Simply Subarus. Today we have an amazing episode for you guys. Can't wait to jump in with our guest here, Thulani, who's all the way from Lesotho over by South Africa. And Dave and I just wanted to say, our last episode last week with Tyler was amazing. We got tons of feedback on that. It was one of our fastest growing episodes, and we just appreciate everybody hanging with us. And I thought it was a great chat with Tyler, and like what an insane event. And we were just really happy to get to sit down and talk about that. Also, I hope you guys hang around. We have a great lineup of guests coming on, from Tyler to now Thulani, who's on today with us, all the way from South Africa. We have guests from all over the world that are lined up right now that Dave and I are really excited to sit down and talk with. So, Thulani, I really appreciate you because you're a fan of the show, and you reached out to me, just telling me a little bit about your shop in Lesotho. And just an amazing story, an amazing place. I can tell you, I never knew what Lesotho was. I was reading a little bit about it once we got in contact. And, it is the only country in the entire world that is 1,000 meters in elevation, which is just insane. I mean, this is one of those countries that just... they write books about. It's nicknamed the Kingdom in the Sky because it is as high as it is, the entire country. And it's kind of like if you lived at the top of Pikes Peak just year round, it's really incredible. So, we wanted to dive into, this international episode with Thulani here and kind of talk a little bit about his country and what they have going on in the terrain there. And, one thing I wanted to note is just this, he sent me some photos and looking through them. I mean, it makes you a little bit emotional just thinking about that. You see these pictures and it's like seeing wild horses on an island, or, it's like these Subarus are in their natural habitat. This is like where they thrive. And it's really such an amazing feeling to see these pictures. And, you're not seeing stanced ones or ones that are slammed on the ground and all these crazy wheels. Like, it's just plain utility, off-road, being used for what they're meant for. And it's just such an amazing thing. So, Thulani, I wanted to start off just kind of diving in with you and, how did you get your start with Subaru? What inspired you to kind of start your own business?
Wow, Patrick, thank you very much. Thank you, Dave. Thank you guys for having me here. I have been always very interested in cars from a very, very young age. When I was 10 or 11, I had a brother who was in engineering school and he was doing some maintenance on one of the cars at home. And then he asked me a very important decision. He said, "Hey, do you want to work on cars, or do you want to ride a bicycle, or do you want to drive a car?" And I decided that I wanted to drive a car. So after that, I started fixing cars and working on cars. And from that point on, I've always been very sort of into cars. It was also the Fast and Furious movies in 2001 that had a role also. But in South Africa, there's always been a sort of popular car culture, and they had this magazine called Speed and Sound,
Mm-hmm.
and they would profile different cars. I would buy the episode, save my pocket money, and then buy the latest magazine and collect them. And it was just so inspiring to see what can be done with just normal cars. And I've just always been interested in cars. And also, I mean, video games have also played a role, Gran Turismo. But on Subarus, what did it for me was Colin McRae. There was it was a rally game, Colin McRae. I think it was 2001. That really did it for me. I mean, I remember the finish stage Like I can replay it in my mind, and I did it, and I beat my own record doing it, and it's not moving into cars ever since being introduced to cars and what they could do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, video games is a really big jumping off point for a lot of people, you know. It's like once you get to feel like you're driving these really insane cars, it really gives you that feeling that you can get into them and really work on them and stuff. And that's a really great take. I mean, so like how would you describe the environment there? Like how it's suited for Subaru and a little bit about like the terrain and you know, I mean the seasons there must be insane. You guys get snow all the way up there and everything, so
Yeah. Well, I think how would I describe this? I think the Lesotho is, it's mostly cool, in the summer. Sorry, but we use the metric system, so I will try my best to sort of convert things. But, temperatures are around, in the winters, you never get below freezing. So probably like in the 20s Fahrenheit, maybe. Sometimes in the higher areas, you probably get something teens or even lower than that. Lying areas, you have temperatures, average just above freezing for most of the winter. You do get a lot of frost in the lowland. In the higher areas, you get a lot of snow, as you've seen with some of the pictures. The driving terrain, I mean, I think it's a country that is still developing. So most of the major roads, especially roads leading to sort of the mountains, are very nicely well paved roads because we have big projects that are ongoing, like we have a big dam that's being built that's going to collect some water. So that's a very busy road too. And then you also have some other dams around the area because one thing Lesotho is known for is a lot of water. We have a lot of water in South Africa. We trying to sort of take advantage of that and sort of establish relationships with these countries so that we can provide them with water, and then they can provide something else. But then on the terrain, on the roads, most of the roads, maybe about 55% of the roads are small roads and unpaved. So most of the time you would be on the dirt roads. Sometimes there's sort of maybe it has had some work being done on it. But most of it, it's really just raw land, just like that. And sometimes, there aren't any roads. There's is essentially you make your own road as you travel. And everything around here is always around a mountain because there's like a lot of mountains, a lot of hills. So having a car like a Subaru is really, I mean, it's amazing. You should look at the people. When I see people getting stuck in mud and I just pass through and hand them back up and pull them out, I mean, that's just like you should buy a Subaru. I always keep on saying you should buy a Subaru. You're not gonna get stuck when you have a Subaru. But yeah, I don't know if I answered all your questions, and I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. But please guide me, and I will kind of go back to the point.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's really such an amazing thing, and I know, Dave, you can probably sympathize with trying to run your own business in a rocky terrain kind of area, but I'm sure you end up with a lot of broken control arms and shocks and things of that nature. And being that you're in Lesotho, I can imagine that the struggle for parts is kind of, real. I mean, do you guys have a Subaru dealer there? And, where do you get most of your parts from if you need them?
Well, really getting parts is a pain. It's such a pain, and I think that's really part of my struggle and why I also started LS Subaru because I wanted to make things easier. I remember when I first bought my first Subaru in 2016, I think. It was a Hawkeye station wagon, 1.5, naturally aspirated, and I needed to get brake pads, like front brake pads. I was doing a brake job, and I couldn't get them anywhere nearby. So I had to go to South Africa. There was a guy who was really into cars, and then he had a shop called Auto Fanatics, and it used to be really good. They used to get everything. And I would have to physically go there, park by the curb, take the wheel off, take my brake pad, and say, "This is what I'm looking for." We would measure it, and then he would send an order in to a bigger city in Joburg, and then they would say, "Yes, we have it," or "No, we don't have it." And then it would take like the entire week to get to him, and then he would
Wow.
call me, and then I would drive to him to get that just for brake pads, just for brake pads. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
such a pain, such a pain. And sometimes with car parts is, you might think you've ordered the right thing and you get the wrong thing. So you have to return it and it goes through the process again. And you can drive the car, or maybe, maybe it's something which is not completely gone, but, it's such a pain. It was very frustrating. So I
Hmm.
think the reason why I wanted to start this LS Subaru thing was to make it easy for people to love Subarus, because part of car ownership is keeping it running. And if it's a struggle to keep it running, I mean, a lot of people probably have owned Subarus and they just give up and say, "Look,
Hmm.
I get frustrated when this thing breaks down." So I think that's a very big thing for me. I really would like to kind of have a market for parts, so that people who have Subaru cars keep them on the road.
Now I'm curious, are there particular models and years that you guys you see predominantly, or is it all over? Is it every make and model that you could imagine there's could be one on the road?
Okay. Well, I think I will say, let me put it this way. So around 2016, I think some of the popular Subarus were Legacy B4s, the twin turbo versions that were quite popular, also naturally aspirated versions. And then you have Subaru Foresters SGs, and I think the ones before that, SFs, I think, chassis. And then you have Subaru Outbacks, and then you have Subaru Imprezas now. And then recently with the XV being created, you have a lot of XVs, Subaru XVs that you see around. And then Imprezas, I think, did I mention Imprezas? Yes, Imprezas are
Yeah.
probably the Subaru. Like when people talk about Subaru, they only know the Impreza with the big wing. But I think where we are here is a lot of people buy these cars because of the utility factor. We live in areas where you have to get stuff. I know sometimes you have to put a bunch of stuff in the back of your car, even on top of your car, just to go from A to B. So a lot of people own Foresters and Outbacks. I think those are the most popular. I've seen quite a lot of them, but now you're seeing more different models. People are really experimenting. You get to see more Subarus now than we did in the past.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Also, Tulani, I don't know if you can tilt the camera a little bit. I'm seeing like half your face. There you go.
Okay, how about
Perfect.
perfect?
um, so Tulani, what's like the hardest part you've ever had to find? I know there must be a couple things that you've had to deal with there. So,
Yeah, well, I think for me, I'm not going to say it was the hardest part to find, but it's the part that I had to wait the longest. I went to a Subaru dealership in Pretoria, sorry, in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I wanted shocks, rare shock mounts for my Impreza, and they didn't have them, so they had to order them from Japan, and they were delivered by ship. So it was like 90 days plus waiting for the shocks. And honestly, oh, it was such a pain. I couldn't enjoy driving my car because every time I drove it, it would remind me that, you got to do something about those shocks. And it was very frustrating. I mean, I went to all the different Motorspurs areas. They have different brands. I was just trying to get shocks. It didn't matter if it was, OEM or another brand. I just wanted shocks, but they didn't even have them. So that was just really, really frustrating for me. But this was before COVID. Uh, but I think, as things have become a bit easier to get, or maybe I have gone through the ringer, and now I kind of know where to look, how to look, and so maybe that's it. But I think now parts are more available than ever. A lot of motorsports that used to carry, popular brands like Toyota, VW now carry Subaru parts. I know 2 years ago, I bought a Subaru wheel hub bearing for an Outback, like a front, and it was complete, and I didn't have to wait. It was already there. So that was a surprise. It was
Nice.
really a pleasant surprise because I was used to having to wait. I would just go there and the guy was like, yeah, give me 2 weeks, I'll get it for you. So I think it used to be really, really frustrating and it would take up to 90 days. But now it's a little bit better. I mean, we're not there yet, but I hope that LS Subaru could at least help us get a little bit closer to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's no question that you're definitely influencing the market. You're definitely growing the market to where, suppliers want to cater to what the market is. And if everyone wants, a particular yogurt on the shelf of the grocery store, then the grocery store is going to find a way to put that yogurt on the shelf.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The customer is always right.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Give the customers what they want. And sounds like
Exactly.
they want Subarus.
Now,
Yeah, no, they do.
Now, do your customers understand these delays and the difficulty getting parts? I know in the States here, we have a lot of people that are known that they take a Subaru and they rip it apart for parts, and you have these junkyards and stuff. But then you also have people that have created their own side business where all they do is they sell Subaru parts that they take off cars. So, I don't know if you guys have something like that over there, but, do the people you work with understand that it's not easy?
I would like to say, I don't know. Yes and no. I think for most of them, for people who actually try to fix their cars or try to source parts for the cars, they totally understand. And they really do appreciate uh, us or me finding parts for them. Then you have the other people who are, I don't know, they just don't get it. They just think, I'm wasting time or I'm trying to take more of the money, stuff like that. So, you have a bunch of people that, really do understand. And you have people who they feel like I'm trying to rip them off.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think,
it's tough.
yeah, but I think, we have enough, at least people have owned Subarus quite a bit in the country that we have enough of them that don't run anymore and are being stripped. So we're taking parts, and then so I think almost everyone I know who consistently drives Subarus has a little stockpile of parts. You never know what you're gonna need. So I think that's what we do. We're kind of like squirrels, packing away our nuts for the winter.
Oh
And
man.
I'm curious, is there any way for you to get parts like online or anything like that, or in any capacity?
Yes, no, absolutely. No, no, no. Now we do. I have actually just bought ignition wires for a Subaru EJ253, like the NA 2.5. I'm gonna replace them. So it's easier now. We have places like Mega Zip, which is I'm not sure what nationality the entity is, but they have a warehouse in the Middle East and also in Japan,
Okay.
and they get to send parts very quickly. And I'm a
Oh,
big
fantastic.
customer. They do, and they say it's OEM and it looks OEM. So far, I haven't had any issues with the parts that they send.
It's awesome.
But
Good. I'm glad it's
also,
getting easier
yeah,
for you.
yes, no, it definitely is getting easier. But also, Subaru South Africa is, I mean, it's convenient. The service that you get there, those guys really love Subarus. At least the guy that I used to work with quite a bit. I would just email him, say, look, this is what I'm looking for. I would go online, SubaruParts.com, have the diagram like, this is what I'm looking for, and this. And then he'll be like, okay, they're here. When do you want them? Ship them to the nearest city bordering Lesotho, and I'll just pick them up. But I think they had a change of system or change in management. They don't. it's not as easy as anymore as it used to be.
Hmm. And so, being that Subarus are so big in that area, does their dealer stock a lot of parts for everybody too, or no?
Yes, yes, I think they certainly do. I have the only thing that had to be ordered in my experience is the shocks, and this is because this was a an import, which I really don't understand why they had to order, because it just, it was a JDM built car, so they wanted to give me JDM shocks, but I was like, you could just give me shocks that Subaru's like the same chassis that they have, because I'm sure they would fit. But it was an issue to get past that. But I think most of the time they really do get you a lot of parts. They have warehouses, I think, in Johannesburg, in Cape Town, I think, or maybe the Western Cape. They have one up north closer to Botswana. I think they have something in Botswana also. But I think they have increased the footprint. I think they're really growing, and they're investing a lot in sort of growing the brand, and they're seeing that people really do enjoy driving these cars. And, they're really trying to make sure that at least the parts are available, because that's the most frustrating part about car ownership, getting the right parts.
I hear you. I've never wanted to work in parts, and currently, right now, it's part of my job, and I hate it. So I hear you. Um, but so walk us through a little bit of your shop setup. Like, what kind of equipment do you have? What kind of work do you do? Is there anything that you don't do? Things like that.
Oh, okay. Well, currently, I would say that I do all my stuff in my backyard. My lovely wife allows me to mess her garden up, with oil and stuff like that. She's very nice for that. But normally, I just work on cars, in the yard. I have really the basics that you would need. I have torque wrench. I have a few pick sizes. I have different sockets, the ones with the like the 14 teeth, the one with the mini splines. I have LN keys, stuff that I've used. And everything that I have, I bought because I was going to do something on my Subaru. So, but I'm hoping that this year I would like to get like a ratchet, an air ratchet. I got a compressor recently, so I think that might help.
Nice.
But we make things work. I was doing changing some head gaskets for a car, and for the crankshaft bolt, I didn't have an extension that was big enough to break it loose, and I had to use a rake, a garden rake, a steel one. It
Yeah.
has a little pipe. I put it in there, and I was just like, and it worked. So, so so you got to I mean, I do what I have to do to make things work, but I would like to improve. I currently have a little workshop which we're building in the yard still, and this is essentially where it's going to be my base. And I think I probably need to have a hydraulic jack. Like, I want to get a bigger jack, so that it's easier to work on a car high up, because as you get older, your back is it doesn't really enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And are you mostly you work solo, or do you have other people that help you, or?
Yeah. Well, most of the time I work solo, because Subaru cars are not very popular. So a lot of people, even seasoned mechanics, don't want to work on them. Maybe because they've had bad experiences, or they just really don't want to break anything. I don't know. But most of the time I work alone, because I think it's more of a learning for me, because I had some bad experience with somebody who messed up my car, and I was just so pissed that that day I decided that I need to learn to do this stuff myself. The issue was I had some front outer CV joints that were, they had grease leaking out, so at least they were old, they were making the sounds. And I asked them, can you replace it? And I couldn't do it myself, or at least I didn't want to do it myself because I was busy. I thought I was busy. But essentially, I got a replacement part, ordering it from the store I told you about, Auto Fanatics. They got it from somewhere else. and it was a different CV joint.
Mm.
However, the mechanic, who's not a Subaru mechanic, by the way, he looked at it and he put it into the drive shaft anyway, into the wheel. And it was the wrong one. It was a tiny little bit bigger. So what happened is was pushing the bearing out in the wheel. So it ended up costing me a lot of money. And I was just so pissed. I'm like, you could have told me that I got the wrong part. I could have ordered it, but now I have to order something else. So I think most of the time I do work alone. However, I do have a general mechanic who does a lot of work on VWs and Toyotas, who helps me every now and then. He also like to learn about Subarus as a mechanic, so every now and then we do some stuff with him. I have put in a new turbo with him. What else did I do with him? Possibly like a power steering rack and power steering, possibly with him. But yeah, but a lot of people are very nervous when it comes to different different engine designs. The Boxster engine really does scare them.
Yeah, I can understand that. I know when I first got into Subarus, I was a little thrown off. It's not an easy learning curve. I'm sure, Dave, you went through that as well. It's
Throughout my tenure, I've worked not just on Subarus, and I've learned that every manufacturer is going to have their nuances. You can definitely learn a lot from the different manufacturers and kind of how they go about different solutions to the different problems in engineering that they do. But at the same time, going and understanding those kind of nuances are going to elevate you on a particular level to be able to do things a little bit differently. And that's where I think groups like the Subaru Mechanics Group is so beneficial, because you get such a network of people to where you're able to find the right solution to your problem and the right way to do something and address something. Coincidentally, I learned something. I'll shout out in the group to the group just the other day, which was and I've seen this before only one other time, but it was an unfortunate learning experience for the mechanic that I had at where he over tightened one of the oil pressure sensors in the cylinder heads and cracked the cylinder head, and subsequently resulted in us eating a new cylinder head and giving the customer a full head gasket job at that point, because we're not just going to do half the engine. We just took care of the customer and made it right. However, I did not realize there is effectively a fix for that. In the unlikely event that someone does, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's a manufactured fix out there that actually can repair that without having to replace your cylinder head in the unlikely event that you find yourself in that situation. So I think that even a humble mechanic like myself, of so many years, there's always room for improvement and learning, a kind of a different approach to a situation, as opposed to just replacing the entire cylinder head, which we did, of course. I felt was the right thing. I still would feel was the right way to approach it in that situation. The customer doesn't deserve to have some kind of fix, so to speak, done to something, in the case of just replacing it, to where it was back to, how it was when it was brought into us. And so that's kind of how we always want to present things from our angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I may, before you go in, Patrick, if I
Yeah.
may, just piggybacking on what you just said, Dave, on the different forums. I mean, if it wasn't for these forums, I probably would not be fixing my own car. And car, honest, if it wasn't for them, because I mean, I do like to read quite a bit. Ultimate Subaru.org, Forester, Subaru Forester.org, Outback.org, and then the North America Subaru one also. I mean, that's the biggest. Every single thing that I've probably learned, I got from there, but also get it from the Subaru Mechanics Facebook group, and just reading. And sometimes I do want to contribute, but sometimes I don't know. But there was one time where I contributed, and actually it was the right part. I felt so good about myself. Uh, there was a guy who recorded a video, and there was a little noise on a little noise which sounded like a bearing, but essentially it was the alternate. It was shredding itself. So there were little metal flakes. I asked him to look for that. He was like, "Yeah, it was it." And I felt so good about myself. I felt like I am finally contributing to the world.
This
Good
is
for you.
why I love this group and why I created it to begin with. Like, I needed help, and I felt like with Naziok, like, you can put a post up, but like it takes time for people to see it and get back to you. And like, I wanted something more instant and with more of a community focus. And um, it's funny, the data on this group, I've been following it for the last 10 years, and our number one audience is the US, but our number two audience is South America or South Africa. And that has
Wow.
always been. We've always had a huge following from South Africa. And then it's Canada after that. So, I mean, you guys are beating Canada in terms of Subarus.
Oh, I mean that's interesting, but I think that's definitely quite something. It's I mean, because a lot of times with cars, access to sort of like one of those old manuals. I think it was like a hands repair manual.
Yeah. Or the
Most
tilted, the
cars, yeah,
hands.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Most cars don't have that, or at least I don't have access to that. So, I mean, groups like yours and the different forums, I mean, oh, they're a lifesaver, like literally, they're a lifesaver.
Yeah, yeah. We're happy that it works out for a lot of people. I told this story previously on one of our other episodes, but I had moved and I was living with some new roommates. And I went out to the bar, and this guy sat next to me, and we were both talking about sports or something. And then we started talking about cars, and he said, "Yeah, I'm a big Subaru guy." And then I said, "No way." I said, "I have this group." He goes, "You're not going to believe this. I just joined that group tonight." And he goes, "I had a problem with my window, and I actually got it fixed before I came to the bar." And I said, "What are the chances of that?" Like, it's like such a big group that you could run into somebody that just got their fix that night. It's crazy. Um, so I just love that aspect of it. But um, so going back to kind of the work that do you do a lot of engine swaps or rebuilds, or do you part things out, or like what kind of fixes and work are you doing? Is it for your personal cars, anything like that?
Okay. Well, I think most of the work that I do is maintenance. I think I'm not confident enough yet, or at least I haven't grown enough, and I probably don't have the time yet to do engine swaps. But most of the stuff I do is sort of, head gasket work. I've done, water pump work. I haven't touched the oil pump yet. I think I haven't done anything related to that. But basic wear and tear type of jobs. But I think in the coming months, maybe sometime this year, I'm going to do something major. I'm going to actually tear the block apart. It scares me. It really does scare me because I haven't done it before. But I think I have to do it because I think I might have to do change some bearings. That there's something. No, I think there's a knock in one of my clients' turbo cars. It's a Subaru Forester 2.5, the one with the EJ255 engine. I think it probably has a knock, and it really does scare me. But I'm doing my research. I'm reading and praying to the Subaru gods to give me all the strength I need to get it done.
Now, do you guys have engine shops over there? Like somebody who can hone the block and do like the dirty work on it, or?
Yes. Yes, no, they are. There are quite a few actually. It's just that the I think we used to have like one or two, and there would be a long line. You would wait and wait and wait to get your cylinder head back. But now there are more and more, and I think the prices have also gone down due to the competition. So you have a lot of people who are really skilled at doing this stuff, and they do all sorts of cars. And in South Africa, especially, like because Lesotho has a lot of towns bordering it, so each town has its own expert, the cylinder head guy. Like there's a guy or a lady or a shop that does that. So we normally, normally you have the people with the tools. It's just that it sometimes it does take time. So, but I think we do have enough engineering shops that, it doesn't make life difficult. I know about 3 years ago, maybe 2022, 2021, I was working on my friend's car. It was a Corsa, like a Corsa. It's like an Opel. I don't know. I don't think you have it in the US, but essentially it's like a small utility vehicle with a 1.4 engine, naturally aspirated, and it overheated. Sorry, it snapped its timing belt. So I took the block, and this was it. He was on his way to visit me for New Year's Eve celebrations, and it snapped on his way to my house. So we pulled it with my Subaru, and then we parked it there, and then we worked on it on the 2nd of July. So we tore it apart on the 2nd of July, took it there to the engineering shop. It probably cost like 1,500, which is probably like $200, or maybe less, I think. And it was back in a day. It was back in a day.
Wow.
And this was
Wow.
peak time. This is peak time. They close for the holidays. So I think, things are much better than they used to be. I think a lot of people are into the business of keeping cars on the road. Shout out to them.
Yeah, yeah. um, so what is kind of the culture there? I mean, do you guys have big Subaru groups? I mean, at least from the pictures you sent, it seems like you guys go driving around and stuff, which is cool. But is there a big like community of techs and enthusiasts and stuff like that?
Well, I think as a country completely surrounded by South Africa, a lot of stuff that happens in South Africa somehow bleeds its way down to us. So South Africa has a very large group of Subaru enthusiasts. You have almost one in every major city. So Lesotho is
Wow.
borders the South African province called the Free State, which is it's fairly large, or more or less maybe half the size of Lesotho. So you have a lot of people that travel quite a bit around, and Lesotho is always a very nice place to drive because there are no speed cameras. So, people get to come in and drive a little bit, put the foot down. So we've sort of interacted a lot with them and started this Subaru Fun Crew, which is essentially a group where we try to keep each other's cars on the road. And sometimes we do meet, we before COVID was very active before COVID, uh, where we would meet and then go out to lunch, and we could just do a long drive. And then after COVID, we had one event where one of the members was getting married, and he wanted a convoy of Subarus, and we complied. We obliged him with a convoy of Subarus. So I think Subaru cars have really brought us together. But I think the tuning community here, Subaru cars are probably like I would say probably less than 5% of cars driven on Lesotho roads. Most of the people drive VWs or Audis, BMW, Toyotas. So a lot of tuning goes towards those cars. However, they're not very what's it called? They're not exclusive. They don't exclude anyone. So they really are very welcoming. So they just like really nice cars. So, that's the thing. A lot of people like really nice cars. And we started doing some drag racing, the Leribe drag racings, which happen normally in the summer. It's cold now. Nobody wants to go out. But we have essentially it's like a public road, but a public road that is not often used. So they do drags there. They also do drags in Maseru. The military actually provide the airstrip for this. So you
Hmm.
could tell the government likes
Wow.
cars too. So we really do like so the military. It's a military base, and we use the airstrip for racing. But I think in general, it's growing. It's really growing because you have people who are really sort of exploring the power potential of the cars. You can see it in these Volkswagen, so one of the popular models down here is a Golf GTI, like, it's either Golf 5, 6, 7, up until the most recent ones. And, they do a lot of tuning now, There's some guys who do a lot of tuning, experimenting, and you can tell they're really, you can see the progression. They're getting better at it and they're getting more power. And I haven't seen one blow up while racing. So I think, they're really doing a good job. So the tuning environment, I would say it's still at its infancy, but I think it's growing. There's a big appreciation for vehicles.
That's awesome. Yeah. Um, what do you think is your long-term goals for LS Subaru? Are you going to become a full-on shop, or what do you think the road is for you?
Wow. Yeah, no, my wife keeps telling me that I should just go for it. I should just go for it. And I think, my short-term plans, I would like to sort of have some sort of kits ready so that, when somebody needs to service, I already have everything you need for a minor service. You want to do a timing belt job, I have everything you need with, good quality parts, and also suspension parts, bushings, they go out because of the terrain, and CV joints and the like. But, I think that's my plan short term. I would also like to, you know, buy some of these wrecked Subaru cars, because you have a lot of Subaru cars that essentially don't run anymore because, the turbo cars and inexperienced drivers with turbo cars, it never ends well. So some of the engines blow up, most of them, they have, some issue with the engine or the gearbox. So they're just sitting there rotting away. So I would like to buy a few, essentially strip them and have some shells available. But I would like to be a shop where you could just go there and find whatever you need for your vehicle. Whether it's new or used. But I'd like to make it easy for car ownership, because I don't know. I think my first years owning a Subaru was quite frustrating. So I'd like the next owners to sort of enjoy it more. But going back to our tuning community, I think Subarus are not very well represented, and I think, there's a vacuum there, and I think LS Subaru, there's an opportunity for LS Subaru to build something which could show up and just kind of you know be on the map, but just kind of say that, this is a car that's reliable, it's being driven hard, you see it every day, go racing, and yet you see it getting groceries and stuff like that, so people can have I don't know, can start to see that these cars really are good cars, and they shouldn't be afraid to buy them, because they're very capable cars. And, for this environment, this is really a very nice car, because, if you don't buy a big SUV, you know, Subaru is just the perfect, it's just the perfect car, Forester and Outback. It's just perfect.
Yeah. Well, before we start showing some of the pictures you sent, which I'm very excited for, do you have any advice for anybody who is kind of where you started? They're on the forums, they're on the YouTube channels, they're in the Asiac, they just are a little bit nervous to get to jump in and start working on their own stuff. That's kind of the whole point of our group, is to help people get over that hump. Do you have any advice for anybody, that's kind of looking to do what you're doing?
Wow. Well, I think the one advice I will say is, life is really short, there's some things that really matter, the things that don't matter, doing mundane stuff, going to work, getting stuff done. But what really matters is establishing and building those relationships, building those moments, having those moments, connection with family, connection with the Subaru family. So I would say, honestly, if you wait and you don't do anything, you're just losing yourself, because, you need to find something that you're passionate about. So I would say that, I think it took me a while to really get full-fledged and start actually doing stuff. And I think the reason was because I didn't think people wanted this. I didn't think people would be interested in this. And I think that's essentially what gets us down, is that you judge yourself before you even produce a product. You already think you're going to fail. So I think, don't do it for other people, do it for you. I think just go over it. It's an accomplishment. It's something you would put on your CV or resume and say, look, I started a company, it failed. It's okay though. I learned a few things. So I think, it's life, The only way you grow is to take a leap of faith. So I think, people need people that are honest, like Subaru mechanics that can help them keep their cars on the road. And, get out there. If you really want to do this, don't be afraid. It's okay. There's so much information on the forums. Like there's almost anything that has ever happened or that could happen to your Subaru, it has happened to someone else. There's only a limited number of things that can happen. So the solution is out there. So I think just don't be afraid. Just go for it. Life is short. Just go for it.
That's fantastic advice. I absolutely love that. That is, I think that's fantastic life advice on a whole, to say the least. To not be afraid of learning new things, whether they be working on a car or taking on any new challenge in life. Through the failure is how we learn things, and unfortunately, we've culturally told our children, through education, that getting the wrong answer is bad, but the wrong answer is learning, ways to, I think it was famously said, when they asked Edison about, how, you made 9,000 whatever light bulbs that didn't work, till you made the right one. What do you have to say about that? He said, well, I learned 9,000 ways to not make a light bulb. And in the process, he may have discovered some other things, cool things along the way, to get to his, final iteration. But that just goes to show that, what, we cannot be afraid of failure, in a sense, and we have to dive right in and try and take that engine apart, man. If you got any questions, you know where to reach us. I'll do my best to help you out there, however I can. And that's something that I've really worked hard on trying to provide for the group, is some of those things that you mentioned earlier, which is, depending on where you're at, not just locationally, but unless you have access to the current, online, or the current factory technical information, wiring diagrams, things like that, unless you're paying for a lot of those subscription-based things, you're not going to have access to those. And that's something that I always make a point whenever I get onto the group, is kind of a key headline for me, is I will search particularly, as a headline, for wiring diagrams, to see anyone that needs any wiring diagrams or any kind of diagrams along those lines. If I can provide those within a minute or two, it's fairly easy for me because we have access to that. But that can now circumvent someone spending hours going through the internet to see if somebody has published that, for free somewhere, and whether or not that's the right wiring diagram for your year, make, and model. Are the wiring colors going to be the right things? The pinout's going to be the same, That's where we can benefit from, helping the group and trying to grow people's capabilities, because that there is a hindrance, unfortunately, and there is kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, almost a gatekeeping aspect to some information, in a sense. And that's something that we believe in the right to repair, as well as also the right to information, and that that type of information should be just free publicized to everybody. The wiring diagrams for your car should be part of the owner's manual package, in my opinion. They should give me an entire printout book of every single wire for that vehicle. I would love that. I know it's never going to happen, but that would just be amazing if that was provided by the manufacturer. And that it's a future proofing of them saying, look, we acknowledge that things will break, despite our engineers and designers' best intents to build the perfect car, so to speak. Things just break. It's part of the mechanical world that we live in, and to give us easy access to being able to repair these things, I'm all for the support of that in any endeavor.
Yeah. And Dave, if they ever did a printout like that, you'd never have to go to the dealer. So clearly that's not happening.
Well, not everyone knows how to necessarily read a wiring diagram and understand, how to interpret the different symbols and all kinds of squiggly lines they put for things nowadays.
Yeah.
But it would be helpful, I feel like, if that was the world that we lived in, where people took more long-term commitment towards the things that they purchased and they invested in and tried to repair them. And that's something that I commend anybody for doing, and why we're such big supporters of the group is we see the group as effectively people, a group, not to typecast everybody in the group, but effectively a group of individuals that want to keep their vehicle running for as long as fiscally possible, which makes sense. There sometimes comes a point in any vehicle's life where it may not be reasonable to pursue it, but beyond that, there's a lot of passionate enthusiasts in the group, and that's why we're proud to be there to offer what assistance we can to them.
Yeah, and Thulani, I wanted to say too, my wife has been on safari in South Africa before, and she really wants to go back, and so this time I get to go, and I'm thinking
there you go.
I'm thinking we might be able to meet in person. So
That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be nice.
yeah, I've never been to Lesotho. I honestly learned so much researching it. It's such a beautiful, amazing place, and I would love to get the chance to go there. So, we'll have to keep in touch and definitely see where this goes. But I'm gonna try to put these photos up here so that you guys can. Hey guys, I just wanted to preface this next section. You know, Thulani is over in Lesotho, so we had a lot of audio and visual kind of connection issues. And so that's why this podcast is a little bit different how we recorded it. So in this next section, we were showing pictures of his country and his cars, and the audio on his end started to cut in and out a little bit. So just bear with us. The pictures are really cool, so I want to make sure everybody does see them, but I just wanted to let you know the audio is not the best, so just make of it what you can. Thanks.
And so this is my. Should I go ahead?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So this is my first car. The Subaru wagon. Right?
Yep.
It's was a two. No. Sorry, it was a 1.5, and it's a beautiful car. Saved fuel. Yeah. Fortunately, I wrecked it,
Oh no.
but I still think about it all the time.
Is this on one of the highways there or one of the mountain roads or?
Yeah. So this is actually a place called Mafika District. It's actually 300 and it's like 3,200 meters above sea level.
Wow.
And where I'm parked here is where you look at all climbing, because I think you changed like at least 1,000 meters.
Wow. That's awesome. And yeah, as we go through the pictures, I know we had talked about it. I tried to block out faces and stuff, so it's I did it very quickly, so it's not the best work, but but yeah, I mean, this is just a beautiful picture. Here clearly you guys get snow up there.
No, this is serious snow. This is from one of the group. He was in Rome, which is like one of the higher areas, and they got a lot of snow. And he was having fun in this.
So actually, before I leave this picture, I was going to ask you, what are these buildings here?
Yeah, so the buildings are traditional houses. This is how Basuti make houses. So the roofing is out of sort of glass. It's like a thatched roof. and then the rest is stone and a muddy mix. It's I think of some grass and then some soil, then make a muddy paste, and then they do that. So this is how the houses really used to be made.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so the very traditional. Yeah, and also the shape of the building is is you'll see that it's the one on the Pacific flag. So it's a national symbol.
Oh wow.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah. Like just the views and the landscape is really amazing. I love that sticker, by the way. I would love to be part of the Subaru Fun Crew. I definitely need one of those. um,
I
yeah,
want into.
yeah, I love that. I would love to put that on my
Now
car.
we'll definitely get some for you guys. You might have to print it there though.
Okay.
Uh,
I like the taillights
It's
too on this Forester, very different with the metal to it, you know. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yes, no, because most of the people would be uh Japanese imports. So the Japanese do some really, really cool stuff with their cars.
Yeah. Um and so I think this is the dealer that you guys have in South Africa, right?
Sure, yes, this is the Subaru dealership, and one of our members drove up there to get some parts, and in the maroon car, the next Diga. I don't know if you have it in the US.
Uh
oh,
no, I don't think so. Um
Yeah, but essentially it's like a big family car, seven-seater type, with four-wheel drive.
I like it a lot. I want one of those.
Yeah, and they're pretty quick too.
That's awesome.
I want to import one of those.
Yeah, me too. I'm on board, Dave. We're gonna need a couple.
Yeah.
Now, looking at this, you guys clearly have new vehicles there. I mean, do you see more new Subarus on the road, or do you see more, people keeping the older ones going?
I think I'm seeing more of the ones. Uh, you have people like me who prefer old school, but then you also have a lot of young people that are buying cars for the first time, and see them buying, the XV, the new Foresters, the new Outbacks.
Yeah. Um, it's a really cool picture to see, a dealer out there. And so this is a cool picture too. I mean, there's a lot of Subarus in one place up on the mountain. So,
Yeah, so this is the member that had a wedding and invited us. This is one of the seats there. So essentially, I think we had an Impreza, a couple of Outbacks, B4 Legacy, and some Foresters.
that's awesome. Really cool
Yeah.
picture. I mean, I just feel like I could live here. Like I could wake up every morning and go for a drive and just see this, just off road in the Subaru. Like it's just amazing.
No, I mean it really is amazing. The views. Even I live here, but sometimes when I travel, I see things that I haven't seen, and it's just like, wow, you really have nothing to say. So I just wow.
Yeah, I mean it's just so cool seeing these all over the place. Just a pretty big community. It seems like you guys have. Um, do you ever like um I don't know, like it's just like being that you guys are so high up, I feel like it's just it's so different. I wonder if the cars like run differently because you're such a high altitude all the time. But
That's a very good point because I think we run on uh 95. Well, I think 95 run calls.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure that the cars, the ECU is supposed to sort of change or maybe learn the variables. But I think when you drive to areas with a lower altitude, you can tell the difference in the power. It feels more powerful. Yeah,
Yeah. Clearly you guys go for rides in the mud and stuff, so
yeah. And sometimes this is not even somebody who went on an off-roading excursion. Could be someone who just had to get to, I don't know, point B, and it was a big puddle of mud. So this is like part of the daily travel.
oh my gosh.
And a Subaru is just the best car.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a cool picture too because I love that you guys have STIs over there. You guys have everything. I mean, it's really just, top to bottom, every car that Subaru makes, it seems like you see at least one or two of them there. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I know last week you were talking about these summer trucks. We have those too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah,
It's very nice.
it's so cool. It's such a cool thing that they have this over there. This picture really got me when I saw this. I was like, I could not imagine you're driving up the whole mountain range. You get to the top, this massive canyon, and you just like park up lunch. You just throw some chairs up and an umbrella, and that's it. It's like so awesome.
Is this a Subaru ad? This looks like a Subaru ad. It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. So this place is called Malitsiane Falls. It's like the second largest waterfall in Southern Africa. So I think it's like 180 meters or something like that. But in the summer, you'd have water just down, and it's really nice.
It's just,
Stunning.
yeah. I mean, just everything there is just beautiful. I mean, I, it seems like the Subarus are really get a beating there because I mean, when you see all this open and people are just off roading, it's kind of cool that you get to just really use them to their max. Um, it's just so awesome. And this picture in particular got me because this is such a crazy photo. You have cars on what looks like almost more than a 45-degree incline, with
Uh,
snow that deep. I mean, it's just insane.
no, it's definitely insane. But I think Subaru cars really do show up because most of the cars that would show up are like proper fours, with locks and all gadgets and not. But Subarus show up and they just go and never get stuck. So I think this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, during the winter.
It's just awesome. They're all just out there playing in the snow. Like, it's just a really cool photo. Um, like even this with the mountain range in the background and the sunset and everything, and just the Subarus are just, ripping through all of it. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So if you go back to that
oh,
one,
yep.
I'll actually send you a video. This was my car. Unfortunately, I wrecked it too.
Oh no.
But I was driving to a very remote, the southernmost tip of the, and this was like at like 4 or 5 in the morning during the summer. So it's just like kilometers and miles of road like this. Just essentially just hugging the mountain.
Oh man. um, yeah, that's just an
I would share
incredible
that video
drive.
with you.
Yeah, of course. Um, and then here we have
Yeah, these are Outbacks.
Outbacks.
the Outbacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful cars, man. I mean, they just look awesome, really cool. I mean, I mean, it's just like these are the photos that make me think like this is something you'd see here. You know, some guys at like manual car wash, just Subaru guys out for the day. But I mean, it seems like you guys have this happening all over there.
No, indeed, I think it's the Subaru way, the way you are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is this your personal car?
colored Outback.
Do you have one of these Outbacks or no?
Yes, I have an Outback, but this one's not mine. One of our other members, and I think it was snowing. Also, visibility was really low.
How do you get around when you can't see? Like you must just like creep through these roads, you know?
I mean, you drive slowly, and most people will have the hazards on, the flashes on.
Mm.
So, just slowly and be careful. But yes, visibility sucks and it's dangerous.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially being that high up, you know? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Another beautiful picture here, really clean legacy.
Yeah, right? Like it's so beautiful. It's one of our members.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite year of Subaru. My dad had a really old Legacy. That was the first Subaru I ever came in contact with. Was my family had an old one, and I grew up in it. I loved it so much, and then I came back around to Subaru later in my life. But I always thought it was such an awesome car. So I mean, like it's like pictures like this, Dave. We got to go to Lesotho, dude. I want to take a picture like this. Like it's just incredible.
As long as I can rent an Outback, though.
Yeah, yeah.
No, just let me know in advance. I'll make sure that you guys have cars of your choice.
Oh, Dave, we got to take a video. We'll go romping out there.
Dude, amazing.
Oh man.
So this could absolutely be an advertisement for Subaru.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like these are the places.
That's a poster right there.
Yeah.
Subaru, find your adventure, you know?
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
oh, this is a good shot.
Yeah. These are some cool cars. I love this.
Yeah, so these were my cars. I wrecked the blue one, but the Outback is still there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's a shame with the blue one. Beautiful car.
No, it was like a unicorn. It had a EJ204 engine, which is that on the intake only, and it was actually hedged WRX. I didn't do any aftermarket stuff with it. It came with the kit, the way it looked, and the engine revved to 9,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and a manual too. So I bleed, I cry every night.
So the last picture that I have, it's actually a video that you sent. There you go. It's just incredible, man. Just really, really cool. I mean, is this the airport that you guys race at, or is this just like a side street?
No, this is a side street.
Really cool. Really cool video.
Yeah, no.
And you got a GTI and a Forester.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
There you go.
So, Thulani, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was such a cool conversation. I know, I was gonna dive into a little bit of the racing scene over there, and anybody who's done like racing testing and stuff there, but to be honest, I would love to have you on again, and I think that would be a great topic to talk about. So, we're about an hour and 10 minutes in, and I think you've really given a whole window into the Lesotho area, and I really think that people in the Subaru Mechanics group, if they see your name pop up, they're going to be really happy to see you answering some questions and stuff like that. So, we would love to follow along, and as you kind of build your business and you keep working, we would love to see the progress and any cool stuff that you end up working on. So you're gonna have to keep in touch with us and kind of, we'll stick with it.
Absolutely. No, no. It really is an honor to be on this podcast. And I essentially I think Facebook recommended I join this group because I search a lot about Subarus. I was like, yeah, maybe you should join this group. And I'm very happy that I did. Very happy that I did. And I would love to join you, and you'll be part of the journey, because I think, this is not just my journey. Somebody's looking at this and they could go through the same thing. You guys are where you are now. You had a journey also. So I think documenting it is definitely one of the best things we could do for the Subaru community. So thank you, and I would absolutely avail myself for another interview on anything else.
Yeah, of course. And we really appreciate you, following along with us, and every one of you out there who has been following along with the episodes Dave and I are putting together, and the expansion of this group. I mean, we just passed 275,000 members, and we're on our way to 300,000. We got Boxer Fest coming up in September on the 14th or the 15th, I think. And we're going to have our booth there, and it sounds like tons of people are coming out. It sounds like a lot of our sponsors are going to be there. I know Teeter had said that he was thinking about making it. So, I really appreciate everybody, and I really am looking forward to the future of this and where all this goes. So, um, you know, Thulani, we loved having you on, and we will definitely see you again.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good rest of the day, and definitely keep on doing what you do. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys later.